Listen, I'm just going to come out and say it. Some of you have an attitude problem. And some of you have forgotten the very basics of what it means to be a working adult in the performance arts. And I'm about to engage in a few minutes of tough love with those of you who have forgotten that. And we'll do that in this episode of the VO Heroes podcast. So I was talking with an actor the other day who was just going on and on and on about how awful it was that we now are predominantly, for on-camera work, doing self-tapes at home. And by the way, just a little side note, I love that we still call them self-tapes because nobody's used tape for this ever. Like, it's all been digital recording, but we still, the vestige of videotape has stayed with us for so long. Anyway, I digress. Here's the thing. This notion of changing technology as we do our jobs as actors is something that I feel like I constantly have to remind some people who are in this business about. You get used to a particular state of affairs. In the early 2000s, it was driving around Los Angeles, for me anyway, driving around Los Angeles with a Thomas Guide. The Thomas Guide was a book of maps that quadranted off the city in blocks, and you could find your way. You had to go from A6 to B17 and go down, Mulholland or whatever. That was the way we did it before Google Maps or, the notion of going to a casting office as opposed to doing work at home where you have a lot more control. You can do takes as often as you want, as many times as you want. I don't suggest you do that, but you can. You can choose whatever you want to do in terms of your approach. We have choices, and sometimes those choices are defined for us. You can either do this or this. But I want to remind you of something. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen. You can't stop it. I was recently in a session where I reminded people that at one point in time, there was only the stage. In the 1800s and before, there was only the stage. And then in the late 1800s, somebody, Thomas Edison, you correct me if I'm wrong if you think it wasn't him, but somebody... Molière, somebody developed film. Oh my gosh, another option. Oh, but I gotta go audition for a film role, darn it. And then, oh my gosh, they invented radio. And radio was an option for performers. And then along came television. And you had to do things with different lights and with these cameras that were moving, and it was foisted upon us, this technology. And then what happened? Oh, there was set-top networks like Apple TV and Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu and all these other options that we now were forced to audition for. Streaming, YouTube, TikTok. Oh my gosh, listen. We as performers don't just get to do the fun stuff, the acting part. We also have to do the administration part. The grunt work part, the part that isn't so much fun. A salesperson gets to sell somebody a big contract, but then they have to go back to the office and sometimes do their own print work and invoicing work and billing work, and they have to do that. If they want to get paid, they have to get the money to the company that they're selling for. It's the side of that job that isn't all that much fun. But it's part of what we do. And when people complain about on-camera self-tapes, I'm reminded of the fact that as a voice talent, we've been doing self-tapes for decades. I remember the day very clearly that I convinced my agent in 2004 that I wanted to do a self-tape. Let me just record this for you and send you the... Oh, no. We have a studio here at the agency. We have an engineer that works for us. And I couldn't get there. And I convinced her to let me do it, and then she called me. She goes, "How do you get your mic to sound like that at home? That's great. So time marches on. Things are going to change. The way things are today might be different in a year or two. Who knows? But raising your fist to the heavens and screaming that you're under attack by the industry or by casting people or by directors or networks or studios, it's convenient to do that, but it is entirely unproductive. The better thing to do, I kid you not, is to have a generous and open approach with yourself and your own well-being, and know that you're not going to change these rules. You're not. You're not going to get paid for doing auditions. You're not going to avoid doing auditions at home. It's not happening. Just like all those opportunities aren't going away for now. But I want you to give me a comment below this video. Tell me what your thoughts are when you're being forced to do things that you hadn't planned on when you decided to become an actor way back when, or when you decided to become a voice talent way back when. Tell me how awful this is for you, and tell me that the joy that you have when you get to do the audition, when you even get to do something where you get booked on it, tell me that doesn't make up for it. Tell me that. They don't messenger scripts over to you anymore. They don't send cars for you anymore. There's a whole lot of things that have changed. They also give you gluten-free options at the crafts table. So a lot of things have changed. Are you happy about it, or are you just railing against the heavens? I had to get that off my chest. You get your comment off your chest. Tell me in the comments below. And by that I mean on voheroes.com, where the conversation hopefully is calm and sane and polite with each other, generous with each other. Hit that like button if what you're hearing resonates with you. You can subscribe to the channel if you want to. You can hit the notification bell for when new episodes come out. I'd love it if you'd do that. And pass this on to that actor or voice talent that decided to take you out to lunch and complain to you for an hour that to take advantage of opportunities in our business, they have to change how they do their grunt work, how they do their administration work. Okay. I'm David H. Lawrence the 17th. I thank you so much for watching and for listening, and I will see you in the next episode of the VO Heroes podcast.